IMF satisfied with Ghana's economic performance after third quarterly review.
Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to construct new container terminal at home.
A Nigerian president interested in stolen assets held in British bank, not apology from British Premier. News are live on GBC24 and GTV. Good evening and you're welcome. My name is Soyoko Kwakutre.
And I am Micheline Taka. To our first story, President John Mahama is in London for an anti-corruption summit at the request of the UK government. Before his departure, President Mahama said the London summit would provide an opportunity to demonstrate the measures his government has adopted to strengthen the fight against corruption, combat money laundering and counter-terrorism financing.
While in London, President Mahama is expected to meet with his co-chair of the UN Eminent Persons Group on the Sustainable Development Goals. On Friday, President Mahama is expected to host an Accountant to the People Forum for Ghanaians living in the UK. The International Monetary Fund team on Wednesday announced the conclusion of its review of the economy under the 3-year extended facility program. The leader of the team, Joel Toya Bernard, expressed the team's satisfaction with the country's economic performance and said fiscal adjustment is on track. The team is, however, encouraging the government to pay attention to fiscal consolidation, fast-track the passage of the new Public Finance Management Law and the amended Bank of Ghana Act.
In 2015, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) approved a 3-year extended facility program for Ghana. A total of $918 million was approved to Ghana as balance of payment support over the 3-year period. Under the program, Ghana is expected to carry out structural reforms mainly in areas such as revenue administration, tax policy, public financial management, payrolls irregularities and human resource management. Other areas are public sector reforms, debt management and supervision, and regulation of the financial system. The program, which is in its first year, has undergone 3 reviews by the IMF on the various performance criteria. After reviewing the Ghanaian economy and the key performance, the IMF mission team says Ghana is on track with the implementation of the 3-year program.
We have seen most of the targets and performance criteria at the end of 2015 being achieved, with just some small exceptions. The economic performance has been slightly better than expected. Economic growth for 2015 is estimated at about 4%, slightly above what was our earlier projection for last year. Inflation remains high, but we have seen some decline in core inflation, and also we are glad that the inflation which was released today for the month of April also indicated a decline from the previous months.
According to the leader of the mission team, Mr. Joel Joas Bennett, government inflation targeting is on track and they expect the inflation to reduce further.
Indeed, in view of the still high debt, the fiscal position needs to be brought down. The authorities are taking a number of measures to ensure that the objectives which was set in the 2016 budget will be achieved. As you may recall, the 2016 budget targets a further reduction in the deficit by about 2% of GDP. This will be achieved through strict control of spending, in particular on the wage bill. Some spending will also be reduced to offset a shortfall in oil revenues in view of somewhat lower oil prices. And as a result, we expect the fiscal consolidation to remain on track for 2016. And we project the overall deficit to come down below 5% in 2016.
The Finance Minister, Mr. Setepe, said the government would continue to roll out policies that would improve fiscal consolidation in the country.
We have a debt management strategy, you know about it, that's also contributing. And the debt to GDP ratio has been stabilizing despite the fact that the GDP has been declining. And therefore, as we move hopefully into a growth phase for the economy, that would be, an additional, boost.
The IMF mission team is expected back in Ghana in 3 months to do the next review, which will be the fourth and final quarter of the year. Pedestrian bridges are constructed to help pedestrians cross from one side of the road to another without having to dash across the risk of being knocked down by speeding vehicles, and also to help ease traffic. However, the main challenge in Accra today is that people prioritize ease and convenience over road safety, often ignoring the pedestrian bridge located nearby to opt for a more risky alternate to crossing the road just to save some few minutes. Pedestrian knockdown in Ghana, according to the National Road Safety, makes up 40% of the country's road accidents. GBC24 has been to the newly constructed footbridge at the Tetekwashi interchange, and the observation is that some pedestrians fail to use the bridge.
Over the years, Ghanaians have pressed for the construction of footbridges across major roads and highways to bring down the number of pedestrian road accidents. The Tetekwashi interchange was one of such roads which recorded high numbers in pedestrian knockdowns. Therefore, the construction of the footbridge came as a big relief to road users who were in constant danger of being hit by vehicles. 7 months after the opening of the footbridge to users, 3 persons are said to have been knocked down from crossing the road from the main street. Some of the excuses given by the pedestrians for not using the bridge include fear of heights, long distance, the lack of physical strength, and also not realizing the existence of the bridge or its purpose.
In our laws, if we look at the road traffic regulations, LI 2180 of 2012, it is an offense to jaywalk on the road. That is, just cross or walk anyhow on the road, in simple terms. So you can be arrested and prosecuted. But for now, what we have embarked on is to educate them, persuade them to use the footbridges, to cross at places where they have made the provisions for pedestrians to cross the road, all in the safety of our people, our pedestrians.
At the Tetekwashi footbridge, this man, who identified himself as Emmanuel Ebo Yankson from the La Municipal Assembly, was seen turning people away from crossing the road to use the footbridge. Some obliged, but others refused, questioning his authority. This man nearly assaulted Ebo Yankson for turning him back. The story at the Shiashi end of the interchange was not different, as pedestrians were seen busily crossing the road to the blind side of the law. Mindful of this, the National Road Safety Commission is stepping up efforts to educate the public about the need to use footbridges instead of risking their lives to cross the road.
What we are doing now is not basically prosecution, but trying to draw their attention to the provisions in the regulations that when it comes to subsection 154, then they are compulsorily supposed to use these footbridges and pedestrian crossings.
Meanwhile, work on some of the footbridges at Firestone, Medina Zongo Junction and Adenta Barrier have stopped, leaving pedestrians no choice but to run across the road to the detriment of their lives.
Activities at the Golden Jubilee Terminal of the Tema Port will soon be relocated to Kpong to reduce the human traffic at the port. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has secured a $125 million loan for the construction of a new container terminal at Kpong. The Director General of the authority, Mr. Richard Anamu, announced the development in talks with the Minister for Transport, Mr. Fifi Kwete.
The Golden Jubilee Terminal at the Tema Port was constructed in 2007 to decongest the main port. The terminal was dedicated to diverting containers, which was done in the main port. With the increasing container and human traffic at the port, which creates congestion, management of the port secured a $125 million loan from the Canadian Corporation Credit Facility to move the activities at the Golden Jubilee Terminal to Kpong to ease congestion. The new facility has become necessary to make way for the $1.5 billion port expansion, which is expected to increase container traffic. The Minister for Transport, Fifi Kwete, was at the port to assess developments there. He also visited the Amaris Terminal, a new dedicated export terminal which is public-private partnership. The Transport Minister was also at the Tema shipyard where aggrieved workers expressed their displeasure over poor conditions of service. The port has also put up a new data processing center where importers and exporters can pay their bills anywhere in the country and clear their goods at the Tema port. Mr. Fifi Kwete also visited a 130-bed hospital facility under construction by the port. The Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Mr. Richard Amamu, said the port is working towards achieving its goal of becoming a maritime trade hub, not only in the sub-region but internationally.
We've taken a number of steps with the approval of the board to carry out a number of activities aimed at improving the performance of the ports and, of course, creating the necessary environment for the efficient maritime industry in Ghana.
The Transport Minister, Fifi Kwete, said government will continue to support the port as it strives to meet international standards.
It's an organization that is proving to move to the next level, where on their own operations, on their own balance sheet, they are able to leverage, huge financing to be able to bring about transformation as far as our whole port is concerned, to bring about high efficiency and be able to rival any port anywhere we have on the sub-Saharan African region.
The ongoing development projects at the port is to ensure that the $1.5 billion port expansion takes off smoothly.
Unibank Ghana is the latest to partner the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation to collect the TV license fees. The addition brings the number of banks on the TV license collection platform to 20. Unibank says the partnership will create an efficient and smooth transaction.
In line with its objective to be socially responsive, Unibank Ghana offered to partner with the state broadcaster in the TV license fee collection drive. The bank has 42 branches dotted across the nation for effective service delivery. The 2014 Best Bank in Product Innovation has come up with another product known as the Sika Collect, which offers banking services at the doorsteps of its clients. With this, Unibank hopes to reach out to people anywhere in Ghana who are unable to visit the banking halls to pay their TV license fees.
Unibank recognizes the fact that GTV has been very good in educating and entertaining the public and doing a lot of research in that manner. We deemed it a responsibility on our part to partner them in getting funds to ensure that these programs that GTV does goes on. We actually are on the Intransact. It makes it possible for our customers to make payments in installments against the code that they would have been generated for them when they have registered with us. So it makes it impossible for somebody's funds to be given to another person.
The assistant head of the TV license collection team, Mr. Felix Okayamankwa, urged Ghanaians to be truthful in the payment of the fees. Citizens are required to pay their TV license fees based on the number of TV sets acquired. A task force will soon be introduced to ensure effective monitoring and payment.
We know people have more than two, but when the task force comes, they will be in a position to know whether you have 1 or 2 TVs in your house.
Management of Unibank Ghana and GBC have encouraged all Ghanaians to see the payment of TV license fees as their civic responsibility.
Meanwhile, members of the National Association of Past Broadcasters of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation have been educated on ways to prevent fire at home by the Ghana National Fire Service.
One of the dangers in any home is the possibility of fire. Most of these fires are unexpected because they are caused by the items that are deemed to be safe. These include stove burner, candles, extension cords, use of inferior electrical gadgets, among others. At the meeting of the National Association of Past Broadcasters of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation, GASBROD, the Divisional Officer at the Fire Safety Department at the Ghana National Fire Service, Mr. Evans Osei-Wusu, took the retirees through some everyday tips that can ensure safety at home. On faulty electrical gadgets, he urged them to seek the services of qualified electricians to avert any fire outbreaks.
All fires that comes out of these things are as a result of human activities. The activities you and I perform in our homes, in our offices, on the farms, in our cars, these things brings the fires to us. Extension boards in our homes, we love them because they extend wires to anywhere we want to use them. We get the powers from there. But most of us, because we have grandchildren who are troublesome, we don't want to expose the wires on the floor, on top of our carpet. So you go to some homes and they have passed wires under the carpet. If you have done one of these things, please take it off. Because as it's under the carpet, people walk on it. Day in, day out, you walk on these things. And what happens to it? You are shortening the lifespan of it. In no meantime, it will start breaking. Because as you walk on it, the load that you carry will have an effect on it. If it breaks, it exposes the negative and the positive. They come together, they generate the sparks. The women call it petekple. When the sparks are generated, it heats. It comes in contact with your carpet. Then you see it start burning. We should be very careful if we have passed wires under our carpet. It should not be done.
Mr. Osei-Wusu said the Ghana National Fire Service is in talks with the Ghana Standards Board to check the importation of inferior electrical appliances.
The former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Jiman Bedu Akosa, says inequalities threaten national cohesion and create insecurities. Professor Akosa was speaking at the meeting between the National Development Planning Commission and its development partners in Accra.
The Millennium Development Goal 1 aims at reducing poverty. Ghana did well in this area, but inequality has been on the rise in Ghana since 1992. It exists in all facets of life, from income level, education to healthcare delivery. The Upper West region has the highest levels of inequality in the country, while the lowest level of inequality is found in the Greater Accra region. This indicates that some communities in certain regions, especially in the north, are being left behind on recent economic growth programs. The National Development Planning Commission is in the process of drafting a long-term national development plan for the country. Tackling inequality is high on the agenda of the NDPC. The Accra Forum was therefore held to seek the views of all segments of society on what can be done to address the problem of inequalities. The former Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Jiman Bedu Akosa, called for all hands on deck to address inequalities.
Inequalities reproduce over generations and accumulate and combine to recreate systematic disadvantages for certain groups and individuals. Rural dwellers, poor urban dwellers, people in certain occupations, people living in certain regions and ecological zones, groups such as women, youth, children, persons with disability, the old and infirm.
The coordinator of Third World Network, Dr. Yao Graham, asked those who govern to draw up policies that will improve the living conditions of the people.
It is worth remembering the provisions of Article 36(2) of the Constitution, which requires the state, quote, to take all necessary steps to establish a sound and healthy economy whose underlying principles shall include the recognition that the most secure democracy is the one that assures the basic necessities of life for its people as a fundamental duty.
The forum was under the theme, promoting long-term national development through growth and opportunity for the poorest.
The chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Dr. Opoku Onyina, has expressed confidence in the Mahama-led administration to ensure that the 2016 election in Ghana is conducted in a free and fair manner. The man of God also encouraged losing parties to accept the results as they have done in the past. At the 2016 General Council meeting of the Church of Pentecost at Gomoafete in the Central Region, Apostle Dr. Onyina admonished Ghanaians to conduct themselves diligently, devoid of rancor and acrimony as elections approaches, so as to maintain the stability Ghana enjoys. Noto Bibini Noto has more.
The Church of Pentecost Ordinary General Council meeting at Gomoafete has become necessary because two key positions on the council are due for review. The positions are the International Missions Director and one of the 15-member Executive Council. The council is the highest decision-making level of the church. The 4-day meeting offers the opportunity to review the state of the church across the country, analyze key information emanating from all areas, such as the church's financial status, leadership, and its contribution to national development. The chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Dr. Opoku Onyina, recognized that in the absence of peace, the church cannot thrive, and peace is always threatened by mounting tension in the run-up to elections.
The culture of insults on the airwaves must not characterize this year's election. And in fact, we have spoken to people that we should not allow ourselves to be deceived by politicians who give gifts in order to influence people to vote for them. We should exercise our own conscience and then see those people who have integrity and who can continue to lead the nation.
Vice President Kwesi Mr. Arthur reiterated the need for peaceful coexistence. He said there was the need to love God and one's neighbor, not be judgmental, demonstrate leadership, and trust in the Lord. Religions, he said, are built on such trust.
Religion has served an important role in keeping our country safe and secure. But religion also could be a force, a negative force, that will create divisions in our country. And therefore, we have to treat religion very, very, very carefully. We people of faith must live our faith. And when things are going wrong, we must say it. It will be sinful of us if we see things going wrong and refuse to say it, either because we are afraid or that we are compelled not to say it. James 4:17, saying that, remember that it is sin to know what you ought to do and then not to do it.
The church prayed for the president and his government and the nation at large. The 2016 General Council meeting is being attended by national heads of the church from 91 countries and representatives from the Ghana Pentecostal Council. GBC24.
Business news, please don't go away.
Good evening, you're most welcome to the business news. My name is Esther Edu Ohumewu. The International Monetary Fund has cautioned the government against rushing into the bond market to borrow to service debt. The fund says the prevailing market conditions do not favor the country. The head of the IMF team reviewing the performance of the 3-year extended credit facility program said on Wednesday that the rates on Ghana's bonds are very high and the government must avoid issuing the bonds on high rates but adapt to market conditions before issuing the new bond.
Ghana in 2015 issued its fourth Eurobond for $1 billion at a coupon rate of 10.75%. The 2015 Eurobond was issued as part of the strategic measures by the government to manage the country's total debts. The $1 billion Eurobond received criticisms from some financial experts and economists due to the cost of the bond after government initially targeted a yield of 8.5% but was forced to take 10.75%. The $1 billion bond was raised to specifically service the 2007 Eurobond, which will be matured in 2017. However, the government is planning to issue another Eurobond this year once the market conditions are favorable. But according to the head of the IMF missions team, the government must be cautious in issuing a new bond because the conditions at the bond market are not the best for the country.
If the market conditions improve and would make issuance of a new Euro bond more attractive, then the strategy may change. And this is in this way that I think the idea is to adapt to market conditions. And the fact that the authorities have these cash buffers will allow them to adapt very smoothly. So without, risking any shortfall in financing for this year.
The Finance Minister, Seth Thekbe, indicated that the government will monitor the bond market and when the conditions are favorable, it will issue new bond.
We went to the market last year at 10 points. 7. But remember that two things, the tenor is not the normal 10% that we did. We got 15 years, not 10 years. And then also it's important to know that the first bond we issued was at 8.5. Subsequently, 2013 was actually below 8. 7.825. And then the third one we did before last year, the 2014, was at 8.125. And we were actually therefore able to refinance the part of the 2017 below the 8.5. I think this, our own experience should suggest what Joel is talking about, the dynamics of the market. Right, so it is also not true that we have always gone to the market at very high. In fact, there were improvements from where we were in the 2007 first issuance compared to the second and third. But for the large deficit, we would have been trending downwards. And this is why the fiscal consolidation, is very important.
Ghana first entered the bond market in 2007, issuing $750 million at a coupon rate of 8.5%. Since then, the country has been using the bond market as one of debt financing strategy, with 2015 being the last time the country raised money from the market to service its debts.
Inflation dropped from 19.2% in March to 18.7% in April. The change represents a drop of 0.5%. The Deputy Government Statistician, Mr. Bawadie, said the non-food basket recorded inflation rate of 24.8% in April 2016 from 25.7% in March 2016.
The Consumer Price Index measures the change in general prices of goods and services over a period of time. In Ghana, the Ghana Statistical Service measures the rate of inflation using 2012 as the base year. The inflation rate in the country since January 2015 has been rising steadily, hitting 17.9% in January 2015. This, however, started decreasing and closed 2015 at 17.7%. The figure, however, jumped to 19% in January due to the increase in utility tariffs. It dropped to 18.5% in February and rose again after fuel prices went up. But April's figures show that inflation has now dropped by 0.5% to 18.7%. The Deputy Government Statistician, Mr. Bawadie, says price movement in the non-food basket accounts for the drop.
In April 2016, the year-on-year inflation rate, as measured by the Consumer Price Index, was 18.7% as compared with a rate of 19.2% for March 2016. The monthly change rate in April 2016 was 1.4%, while that for March 2016 was 1.7%. The year-on-year non-food inflation rate for April 2016 was 24.8%, compared with the 25.7% that was recorded in March 2016. The year-on-year food inflation rate for April 2016 was 8.4%, compared with the 8.3% that was recorded in March 2016. The main price drivers for the non-food inflation rate were transport, 40.4%, housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, 35.8%, education, 30.9%, and recreation and culture, 28.1%.
The Greater Accra region recorded the highest inflation rate of 22%, while the Upper East region recorded the lowest rate of 13.9%.
Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur has made a case for international businesses to locate their regional offices in Ghana. Ghana's strategic location provides easy access to a regional market of about 300 million people and affords the investor quality human resource and a business-friendly environment. Mr. Amissah-Arthur made the observation at the opening of the new Huawei office in Accra.
The opening of a new corporate office of Huawei is yet another level of perfect Ghana-China relations, which has been increasing over the years, especially in the economic sphere. For Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur, many more could take advantage of the legal framework, free media, independent judiciary, and quality human resources to invest here in Ghana.
Government of Ghana considers successful relationship and technology transfer that Huawei has brought with the investment into this country. It's my wish that other companies will follow suit and locate their regional offices here to take full advantage of the peace and security that Ghana is able to afford.
The edifice is an indication of more Chinese companies doing business here in Accra.
Let's now take the interbank rates. Crude, gold and cocoa all increase in price on the international commodity market. In insurance news today, the acting chief executive of Vanguard Assurance, Mr. Charles Denchi Anso, takes us through the dynamics of construction insurance.
The construction insurance covers the works that the contractor is supposed to execute. We have the material damage components. That's any loss or damage arising out of the contractor's works that are affected. That's what I will call material damage. And then we also have the liability section, that's the third-party liability section. That results from loss or damage to third-party property or injury. So basically, it's in two sections. That's the section 1, which is the material damage, and then section 2, which is the third-party liability. Now, this insurance does not cover the contractor as injury or accident to the contractor. The contractor and his workers can take different insurance policy, which is basically the employer's liability insurance, and probably the contractor could take what we call personal accident insurance policy. So that is what will cover any injury or accident that may result from their operations. But then the construction insurance is basically for the works.
And that is a wrap for the business news. Thanks for watching.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure to come your way with the health segment. My name is Evans Echampon. Now to our stories. Scientists in the US have warned that the shortage of yellow fever vaccines could spark a global health emergency. According to the World Health Organization, an outbreak of the mosquito-borne viral disease has killed 277 people in Angola since December.
WHO says almost 6 million people have been vaccinated in Angola, which has a population of 24.3 million. In April, the WHO said the emergency stockpile of vaccines had run out. The virus has already spread to neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, and China. Vaccines take around 6 months to produce, so there is a time lag in responding to a large outbreak like the current one in Angola. Drug manufacturers globally produce just enough vaccines for routine immunization. Scientists have warned that the shortage of vaccine supplies could potentially lead to a health security crisis if it spreads further in Africa and Asia. They are calling for the convening of an emergency committee to mobilize funds, coordinate an international response, and spearhead a surge in vaccine production. Yellow fever is a virus that can cause bleeding, jaundice, and kidney failure. It is spread by mosquitoes, usually the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the same species that spreads the Zika virus. It is endemic in tropical regions of Africa and South America. A vaccine can prevent infection, but there is no specific drug treatment for people who are infected.
And we turn our attention to the Volta region, where the regional minister, Helen Intosu, has paid the hospital bills of four nursing mothers who were detained at the Volta regional and home municipal hospitals. The four nursing mothers have been at the hospital for periods ranging from 2 weeks to 2 months and had challenges settling their bills.
The amount is approximately 3,000 Ghana cedis. One of them is 17-year-old mother, Yayura Lechu, who delivered her baby about 2 months ago, said her baby's father has abandoned them and her parents managed to pay only 170 Ghana cedis out of about 1,000 cedis. She, on behalf of the others, thanked the regional minister for the gesture. The regional minister also presented fruit juice and biscuits to the mothers. She commended the health workers at both hospitals for their commitment and diligence and entreated them to show love and care to the patients. The minister was accompanied by the Home Municipal Chief Executive, Fafa Adenyura.
And that wraps up on the health segment tonight, which is brought to you by FPAC. Stay tuned.
And in international news, Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari says he's not demanding any apology from anybody after UK Prime Minister David Cameron labelled his country, quote, fantastically corrupt, unquote. Speaking at an anti-corruption event in London, Mr. Buhari said he was more interested in the return of stolen assets held in British banks. Mr. Cameron made the unguarded comments in a conversation with the Queen. He is hosting an international anti-corruption summit. Nigeria was ranked 136th in Transparency International's 2015 Corruption Perceptions Index. The Nigerian leader described corruption as a hydra-headed monster which threatened the security of countries and does not differentiate between developed and developing countries. He said corruption in Nigeria was endemic and his government was committed to fight it. The UK government will host world and business leaders at a summit in London to galvanize a global response to tackle corruption.
Over the past 2 years, at least 65 people with albinism have been attacked in Malawi, sometimes mutilated and dismembered by a machete-wielding assailant. Amnesty International has documented what it calls the ritual killings of people with albinism in Malawi. There are an estimated 10,000 people with albinism in Malawi, a country of 16.5 million people. Some believe parts belonging to albinos have magical powers, leading to them allegedly being sold at black markets run by criminal gangs across southern and central Africa. You're back with break, don't go away.
Good evening, let's update ourselves from happenings in the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. The second edition of the school's baton relay race has been set for the 1st of July this year. The initiative is to encourage athletes in the senior high schools to participate in long-distance running. The road baton relay is a Catch Them Young initiative put together by Dreamland Sports Plus. It is to identify potential long-distance runners from the various senior high schools in the country. The first edition, which took place last year, had over 30 senior high schools participating with 6 athletes each, both boys and girls. With some days away to the start of the event, organizers have given a hint of what to expect from the event.
This year, we're launching it on Friday. Then we take it up from there. We've changed routes, and this year, with the challenges we encountered last year, I'm sure we have improved. This year, we'll see a very different and totally, good run.
This year we are starting at Batunatota. So from Batunatota to Nungwa Barrier to Teshi, Laskara, Usu that's where we are going to change the batons. So this time it's a straight route, unlike last year whereby you have to pass a lot of this kind of winding, but this is a straight route. And moreover, the girls and boys are also starting at the same point.
With some few days to the start of the event, organizers have given a hint of what one should expect from the event. It is the hope of organizers that more talents will be discovered and good for international competitions. The Ghanaian company involved in the construction of the new Cape Coast Stadium, Greengrass Technology, says it will maintain the pitch for the next 13 months. The head of Greengrass Technology, Frank Boahen, says his company has the capacity to maintain the field.
The 15,000 capacity new Cape Coast Stadium was constructed by Chinese construction company China IPPR International Engineering Corporation. The company contracted a Ghanaian firm, Greengrass Technology, experts in design, construction and maintenance of sports pitches to construct the field for them. With the pitches in the 4 major stadia in the country not in good shape, GBC24 Sports has interacted with the head of Greengrass Technology, Mr. Frank Boahen, on what it will take to maintain the facility.
It's been agreed between us and the main contractor that we will be here for the next 13 months to maintain the pitch. I can assure all Ghanaians that within the next 13 months, this pitch will even look better than this. Financially, it's been a real challenge to maintaining the 4 stadia that we have. And the minister has given us a lot of assurances that there must be a way forward. We must look at the way we can finance sports, not just for maintenance. And I'm very keen to sit down with him and conclude on some of these things.
The 15,000 capacity stadium is expected to host the finals of the 2016 MTN FA Cup, as well as Ghana's Africa Cup of Nations qualifier with Rwanda.
Another edition of the Junior Tennis International Training Tournament has ended at the Winneba Sports College. The 4-day event was put together by the Tennis Parents Players Association of Ghana, TTPPAG.
Talk with your rackets, play with your heart was the theme for the 3rd edition of the Junior Tennis Invitational Training Program. 25 school children selected from the various tennis academies in Ghana participated in the 4-day event. The coach of the Winneba Tennis Academy, Mr. Bukari Noah, took the children through some drills. The program was aimed at motivating young and talented players by giving them the right training in order to form a new generation of tennis stars in the country. The event, which was put together by the Tennis Players Parents Association of Ghana, TEPPAG, had support from the Youth and Sports Ministry and the Winneba Sports College. A broadcaster, Mr. Eric Donatha, praised the organizers for the event.
I think that this is a fantastic initiative. I think that the parents and the coaches that have come together to do this in the National Sports College of Winneba are planting a seed that would yield incredible fruit.
Some of the participants shared their experience.
I've learned how to control my movement and also control the ball.
I would like to play professional tennis and be like Federer.
Coach Noah Bukari says soon Ghana will get back to her glorious days in tennis.
The past days that Ghana was in Davis Cup Zone 2, we now are trying to bring up players who would send Ghana not to Zone 2, but this time Zone 1 and possibly the elite zone.
Organizers say the next event will be in August this year, and students will be on vacation by then.
Thanks for watching.
Hello, good evening. Time for some entertainment news. My name is Valerie Damso. The VGMA is the biggest event on the music calendar. The red carpet was laid out for celebrities to strut their staff in their costumes for the night. Here are highlights of the good, bad and ugly side of the fashion from this year's VGMA. Zambia's representative at the Big Brother Africa 8th edition, Evelyn Sitali, has passed away. The Big Brother Africa Season 8 show, Tag the Chase, had other housemates such as Elikem the Tailor, Lish Matthews, Sally Pokello, Angelo Bassi, and more. Evelyn's death was announced via her Facebook page on Tuesday, 10th May 2016. She had an accident in 2014 and had many operations on her leg, but the last operation on Saturday, 7th May, was unsuccessful, and she passed on the 10th of May at the Mwanasa Hospital. She was 29. That's all in this segment. Have a good evening.
And that's all in the news for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back with news tonight at 10:30.
Good evening.